July 14th edition of the Smart Growth Committee. I'm joined by Mr. Scott, Mr. Stefano, Kevin Gore. We're going to do a little switcheroo here because some people that are attending the meeting have a 7 o'clock meeting. And so we're going to go to item number 7, discuss disbanding the Railroad Restoration Committee and discuss bus service within the borough. Be honest with you, I don't know that either is appropriate at this time. I don't know that either is appropriate at this time.
I believe it's not. I'll be.
Yeah, and bus service within the borough, supposedly, that's something SEPTA is working on. So,
Seeing
not recently.
now, do I have to push this down to talk? I have arthritis in my fingers. All right, so I wrote to Skip Bryan, said, if this committee should be discussing it. He said it's a very preliminary, I'll send you a letter, it's a very preliminary stage. Just kind of talking on it at this point. If there's anything that somebody put in writing, I can send it to you, I will. But he's, I think he went on vacation, but he's gone and get it to me and I'll turn it right over to everybody. We'll see, but it's distinct from.
I think, yeah, I just don't think it's appropriate. I don't think we need to talk about this evening. Okay.
Either one?
Either one, because, we've got some grant application in, possible money coming in from Fed. So it's probably is not the time to be discussing this.
All right. So it should go off the agenda.
Mr. Stefano, is that okay with you?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
With regards to the, Jordan Orley, regards to the disbanding the railroad committee, is that, are we safe to assume that that discussion doesn't need to exist anymore at this stage? Or otherwise, I'd like to have that conversation now because the appropriate folks showed up in order to flush that out on your behalf, Mr. Bracelet.
Who did?
I thought you did.
Who did? I asked for what?
Telling me Mr. Scott put on the agenda to disband discuss disbanding rails.
I
think.
Okay.
I don't think anyone wants to talk about it. So
How's that possible?
I don't think I ever said that. But if
I
I was,
don't either.
if I was hallucinating at the time, that's not my position now. So it's off the agenda. We shouldn't have any discussion about it at all.
Okay.
I think that the railroad committee ought to go back in their room and drum up some money and whatever they did,
All right. Well, at this time, I'd like to congratulate the Restoration Rail Service Committee, started in 2014, that you were very much part of, Mr. Scott, for putting in a successful application through U.S. Senator Bob Casey's office, as you see on the front page of the Daily Local today. And Mr. Casey has made a recommendation to appropriate $2.4 million to helping restore rail service to Westchester. So I want to applaud and thank the committee for their tireless work and the tremendous progress that they've made throughout just 7 years and how far we've come to continue to pursue the best interests of Westchester and in Restoration Rail Service of Westchester. So I applaud the Restoration Rail Service of Westchester. Thank you very much for your continued efforts.
Okay. Item number 2. Yeah, item number 2, comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda. Okay. Item number 3, discuss zoning hearing application for 1517 South Poplar Deep East Family Limited Partnership. This involves a number of things that they're seeking special exemption for. This is where we want to decide whether we want to send council.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They're seeking three different dimensional variances and a special exception. It's our recommendation that we do not send a solicitor.
It's kind of what I'd love to. Okay. Mr. Stefano,
I think I heard most of that. Did Mr. Gore say he's recommending to not send the solicitor? Is that what he said?
correct.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in agreement with that. Thank you.
Okay, good. So 3A would be a 3-0 recommendation not to send this solicitor. Any comments or questions from the audience? No. Item number 4, approve the reverse subdivision for 110 to 112 South Matlack.
Pull up that plan. For the first one there, everybody's familiar with this project. This is for the first subdivision lot consolidation of 110, 112 South Matlack. This is that small little parcel right there at Locust Alley where did have 2 existing homes there. I think they burned down in about 2012. The applicants did receive several dimensional variances from the zoning hearing board. This is the second part of this process to consolidate those lots so they can build a 2-family dwelling on this property here. Planning Commission did make a favorable recommendation to approve the reverse subdivision. Obviously, they're going to have to comply with all the conditions of the zoning hearing. So if you go to page 2,
Does anyone have a question or comment? Okay. I'm just still doing a slow burn after that campaign speech, that's all.
so it's a pretty simple plan here. There's no land development involved other than the development of the home. They're not going through the land development process, just the reverse subdivision.
And that was,
Do you have any issues for council on this one?
None. No issues.
okay, that's just what I was like, just looking that up. Yeah, this was approved by the planning commission.
Yes,
They're
Bill,
good.
you can pull up the planning commission letter if they'd like to see that there.
I have that up, signed by Sue Moran. I'm okay with it.
I think it should be approved.
Mr. Stefano?
Yeah, I think this is great. No issues.
Any questions or comments before we move on? Thank you. Next come the HARB Certificate of Appropriateness. I never pronounce that word. Item A, North Church Street, Kilwin's Chocolates, Fudge, and Ice Cream. They want to install signage, painting of exteriors, installation of louver vent above window. This was approved with a condition that the grill will be sized to fit the entire pane of glass, so the glass can be removed now and potentially replaced in the future with no structural change to the windows. That was, okay. And I think we'll just go right to the next one. Item B, 111 North Repair Street, Green Tree Building. This involves kind of a multi-dimensional list of repairs that they want to do to the building, all of which were approved by Barb. Includes pointing, stucco work, painting, power washing, concrete repairs, all sorts of stuff. So I see no problem with either A. Right?
All good to me. Yep.
Okay. So item 5A and B, 3-0 recommendation. Item, comments or questions? I'm supposed to be asking that before we do the count. I still can't do that after 7.5 years. Item number 6, approve June 2021 smart growth minutes. They were fine with me. Mike?
All good. All good.
Okay, 3-0 for item number 6. 7 we took care of. Number 8, building and housing preliminary budget presentation.
If I may, thank you for getting this in early to us. It was there last week, and I certainly.
Absolutely, not a problem. Let's get right into this here. Bill, if you just jump right onto the next slide there. This here is the Building and Housing Department's mission statement, and without reading it verbatim, but mainly our goal is to provide that fair and consistent enforcement of all the ordinances that are adopted by the borough. And we do that through several aspects of community engagement, the utilization of training. And the main goal of that mission statement is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Next slide, Bill. So in conjunction with that mission statement, we have here 3 major operational goals for the department. One is to increase the safety of buildings in the borough, increase the safety and quality of life of the residents, and we do that through prevention and mitigation of hazards and life safety violations. Lastly, we would like to provide quality customer service. We receive a lot of complaints from residents in the borough, and way we can achieve that is through increased department efficiency. We have several goals in mind here in order to increase department efficiency. Bill, next slide.
Mr. Chairman, operational goals. Prevention and mitigation hazards. Can you give me an example of that?
Sure, we conduct annual inspections of about 6,000 rental units. Those inspections will go through and look at life safety
Right.
concerns, smoke detectors, other electrical hazards, sanitary concerns. So through the mitigation and prevention of those hazards within those dwelling units, that's what we're talking about. And other proactive enforcement measures that we institute on a daily basis, where our officers are driving around the town looking for violations. One of the biggest things I see, you can look at the Chief Pelina's report. We haven't had a major fire incident in the borough, with the exception of Barclay Friends, in the past, at least in my time, 3.5 years, and I'm sure it's been longer while Mike was in office there. So the major incidents are extremely rare, and that is a measurable from the inspections that we conduct as a department.
And are there any potential fire hazards that people can eyeball from the streets and alleys?
Not necessarily, maybe like a blocked fire escape or something like that, if somebody was storing things on a fire escape. A lot of the fire hazards are found inside, electrical hazards, missing smoke detectors, extension cords, things of that nature.
Okay, I got that. Thank you. Also, there's a lot of garbage and junk piled up, even outside, and I got caught on this once. And I know that's being done.
Going to get there. Quick snapshot of our permit history over the past 4 years. You see 2018 was pretty high. We had 638 permits. In 2020, obviously we had the COVID affected those numbers. We had a pretty dramatic decrease in the activity of permits coming in the door here. However, for 2021, we can see we're on pace for reaching that 600 average within those past 2018, 2019 numbers. So that is a great sign. The industry's picking back up, and our department's not slowing down, that's for certain. We're starting to get right back in it here with the activity levels. Coinciding with those activity levels, though, you'll see that we've had a reduction in staff due to COVID from 2020. We did have 6 staff members total in 2019. 3 of those were code enforcement officers, and we did have 2 administrative assistant positions. And in 2020, we lost 2 of those, 1 code enforcement officer and 1 administrative assistant. See, 2022, our request is the department to bring back those 2 positions that we had lost in 2020. Bill, you can go to the next slide. So the first position would be a code enforcement officer. That position mainly would be handling property maintenance complaints, proactive enforcement, trash, sidewalk violations, weeds. As Mr. Scott, you pointed out, there's several violations down, unfortunately, due to lower staff numbers here now and the other duties assigned to our code enforcement officers. We haven't had the ability to provide that quality of customer service and proactive enforcement. The 2 code enforcement officers also inspecting those 6,000 rental units annually are also providing additional administrative support in the office. So which then takes them off the streets for those other issues and concerns that we'd like to handle proactively. The second administrative staff position would help with the rental program, facilitating the records for that, mailings, payments, also handling any correspondence, emails, and phone calls, but also providing support to the code enforcement officers when they're in the field. Certainly increase efficiency within the department and for those officers. By way of the officers wouldn't necessarily have to handle the notices of violation. If they're in the field, they can just call it into the office and have those notices sent out via our electronic program, permit for GeoPlan, excuse me. We can generate those notices and mail them to the property owner. Next slide, Bill. Thank you. Obviously, you can see the effects here of the current staffing level. As I mentioned a couple of them earlier, we have less effective customer service. We're not able to respond to complaints in what we consider a timely manner. It may take a day or 2 to get actually out to the complaint to respond or even look at it. Like I said, we had a lack of proactive enforcement. 3 years ago when I started here, we did institute a proactive enforcement program where the officers were scheduled to go throughout the borough in different sections on a schedule. And because they're handling those rental inspections and administrative functions, the proactive enforcement program has been put on hold temporarily. There's a lack of prevention and mitigation of health and life safety hazards. Mr. Scott, like you said, you pointed out there's some trash violations. That's right. And lastly, a lack of attention on property maintenance issues. Having those additional staff members are vital to maintaining the level of customer support and proactive enforcement and making sure that these hazards aren't or property maintenance violations are not occurring in the borough. And if they are, that we can react to them immediately and resolve them as quickly as possible. Next slide, Bill. We are looking at one capital expense for year 2020. And this is going to be a collaborative effort between all departments in the borough. We do want to replace our current software system within the borough. We currently use GeoPlan. We're looking for something a little more robust, something that can be shared between all departments, where they can talk to each other and all departments can have information sharing. That's one, and we definitely want to enhance customer service. One of the goals is to, from the building and housing side, is to have an online portal where customers and applicants can submit paperwork and plans and applications electronically via the website. And we want to have a full GIS integration on this new system, and that would be not just beneficial for my department, but Public Works, Parks and Rec, parking. And this obviously is going to increase departmental efficiency, not just my department, but all departments. Next slide, Bill.
Question.
Yes.
You're saying this is a multi-departmental change in the computer?
That's what we would like to do. It makes sense just from an organizational standpoint to have a global program.
Well, is that being talked about or what? Okay, but I mean, this is like a heads up coming. He's starting the ball rolling, as is his wont. Good. But why do we need a consultant when we got Bill Mann? Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
So we do have some recommended revenue increases for the upcoming year. Just looking at the fee schedule, the fee schedule has remained pretty consistent over the past several years. We haven't had any major fee increases for the permit fees. Obviously, we do have salary increases and other services that we provide and increases in that. However, for any residential permit, we're looking to increase the base fee to $80 from where it currently is. The commercial, we want to increase it to $155 from their current rate. And something I introduced last year, but we didn't implement, so I want to bring it back. We want to require a stormwater fee. So this is not associated with the stream protection fee. It's something completely different. So whenever we have a non-land development project come in, let's say somebody wants to install a patio, we review that from a zoning perspective and ensure that they're compliant with the impervious coverages. Well, anytime they're increasing their impervious coverage, they have to comply with our stormwater ordinance. And that may mean an installation of a stormwater management facility on that property to offset the amount of impervious coverage that they're providing on the new site. So our recommendation is that for projects that are less than 1,000 square feet, that do not involve engineering, a simple plan that is submitted, typically a residential project, that we charge a $50 fee for those. And anything over 1,000 square feet where it has to be engineered, requiring a $100 fee in addition to any fees that the applicant would have to reimburse the borough that we incur from our engineer. Next slide, Bill. So just to recap the presentation here, obviously we want to increase the level of hazard mitigation, like we said, and want to increase departmental efficiency. One of those ways we can do that is by providing the additional staff members that are required to perform all the duties and tasks that are assigned. And we increase that level of customer service, increase the permit revenues, and implement new property management software. It's important to remember that this department provides a vital service to the public. And currently, quality of service may be lacking slightly due to those inefficiencies that we're experiencing at the current time. So it's important that we look at the ways we can improve that, and what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone at the meeting have any questions or comments about this presentation? Go ahead, Bill.
Kevin, so on the stormwater projects, non-land development, I understand a pool. What else? Or a patio and a pool. Is it?
Patio, driveway expansion, pool, decks, small additions, anything where they're covering up grass, really.
Uh-huh. And, but they are charged for your inspection of the project itself and whether it complies with
So
borough
currently,
rules.
they're not. Currently, if somebody was submitting a patio permit,
Yeah,
and if it's over 500 square feet of new impervious, charge a zoning fee for that zoning review currently, but somebody has to go out and inspect that stormwater structure. And there's also administrative costs with that. There's paperwork that needs to be handled. There's an agreement that needs to be signed, to be given to the applicant. They have to record that with the recorder of deeds. So there is a process where we're handling that stuff administratively.
mm-hmm. So what do you do initially? How much does that cost?
I'm sorry?
What does it cost now if I wanted to put in a patio?
As of last month, $50.
This has not to do with the stormwater, just the putting in the patio.
Just for the zoning review.
Okay. And so now you want to say, hey, is this going to change the stormwater situation? And
We're reviewing that now anyway, but they're not paying an additional cost for that service.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
excellent report.
Yeah. Item number 9, any other business, new business? Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.